correct.
Right.
And the one with the dark is
You ready to go, Kathy?
Yeah. Councillors, to the Works Committee meeting today. Council acknowledges that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri and Gundungurra people and respects the history and culture of the elders, both past and present. As I said, welcome councillors and welcome to our community that are joining us by Zoom tonight. Item 2 on your business paper, page 4, record of attendance. We have several applications for leave of absence this evening. Councillor Doney, Councillor Kellam and Councillor McKibben. Can I have someone to move that leave of absence be granted? Councillor Capel and Councillor McKechnie, thank you. All in favour? Carried, thank you. And Damien O'Shaughnessy, Planning and Development Director, is also an apology this evening. Item 3, page 4, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest this evening? None, thank you. Confirmation of the minutes. Works Committee meeting, minutes of the Works Committee meeting held on the 8th of September 2020 follow. Can I have someone to move those minutes, please? Councillor McKechnie and Councillor Gibbons, thank you. Any business arising, councillors?
Those minutes
Councillor McCarthy?
from the report from me. 5/2. We're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Could the director, the author of this, explain how we had a young fella hit with a obstacle off the water truck? The young fella followed the driver into the yard apparently, or where the driver pulled up, and then when he made a claim, we went to this telemetry thing, and that they were told that the truck was in the yard when the actual driver of the truck actually acknowledged that the young fella followed him up. So how did we get a mix-up when someone made the inquiry that the statement was made the truck was in the yard all the time, it wasn't out in the road?
Yes, Madam Mayor. That's correct. What happened was we got the complaint. I looked up the GPS system.
Yep.
It definitely showed that the truck was in the yard. We had a second vehicle for some reason checked that, and it said it was in the yard, and I knew in fact it wasn't in the yard. So I got onto the to the GPS. What's the name? Pinpoint, who managed the GPS system, and there was a glitch in the system. The system had stalled on that particular vehicle for a couple of days, and it showed it was in the yard for those couple of days when in fact it wasn't. I rang the people and I apologised to him. I said, look, there has been a glitch on it. He was in the yard. He was where you say he was, and he was there at the time, and that submitted a claim. And
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about the claim. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering when we spend the
Yeah.
money that this system isn't working.
well, it's the only glitch we've had in it.
You said the other vehicles in the
Yeah,
yard.
they both happened at the same time. There obviously would have been an issue with the GPS knobs computer system
Okay.
that showed it as a fault.
Okay. Yeah, I give credit to this kid that he actually pursued the vehicle,
Yeah.
because he's only a young kid and with insurance that it wasn't his fault. But, and our staff member that said that he didn't know what fell off, but he said it could have.
Yeah.
So yeah, both parties are involved, but I'm just concerned about this equipment. You know?
Yeah, I actually chased the operator up. It was after hours. I chased him up and quizzed him on it, and he said he was definitely there. And I said, well, it's strange because the system's showing you weren't.
Yep.
And but as it turned out, it was a glitch in the system.
Thank you. Ready, Councillor McCarthy?
Yeah, that's it for there.
Councillor McKechnie?
Yeah, just on a general business, the purchase of the Ripper. What did we end up buying? A 3-tine or a single tine?
Through the mayor, 3-tine. So it's certainly in operation, and they're about, if they haven't used it already, you're about to use it again down at Oregon Lane to do the last 50% of the planning.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions, councillors, in the minutes? I'll put the recommendation, all in favour. Carried, thank you. Reports, page 13, item 0501, proposed purchase of mobile traffic lights. The recommendation is that council purchase one complete set of mobile traffic lights from A1 Road Lines Proprietary Limited for $42,321 plus GST, and that council fund this purchase from the internal restricted engineering instruments budget. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor McCarthy, and a seconder, please. Councillor McKechnie. Thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
The report's pretty straightforward, and if it doesn't tie up two people doing traffic control, it should be an asset, but just good, because we've got some old ones, they either should be upgraded or made to work as well. Then we got two other sets.
Yeah, through the chair we have, and we've certainly gone down the path of acquiring the modules to actually upgrade those for the same well, near enough the same capability, what they possibly can be adapted to. So they will be still of some use. This is certainly going to help, with the various activities on that particular project and or other longer term, larger projects that we are going to embark on very shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor McKechnie.
Yes, I support the recommendation moved by Councillor McCarthy, but just a question. I note that they're not registered, the trailers. Is the registration fee? I don't know how we pay our registration fees or where the account is, but the 42,321, does that cover the registration and insurance for two trailers?
Through the chair, I say no to that. However, the fee would be for like unconditional type registration, which is not of a great value, other than probably might be a couple $100 tops, which come out of the plant fund.
Okay. Yep. No, I think well worth the exercise to purchase it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gibbons.
Yeah, just a question. If you have the traffic lights up and say there's a Campbell's River job going on, do you have to have a support vehicle running through and back? You would not have to, would you?
Through the chair, certainly depending on what the activities or how many multiple activities we're having at one time, Transport for New South Wales are going down the path of mandatory requiring a pilot vehicle. Lights or no lights, or even physical traffic control is a requirement they're going to request of any council that is in a roads maintenance council contract arrangement with the state government. So it's probably not a bad practice to have, but again, it doesn't mean that we need to be tying up resources unnecessarily either, with respect to your question.
And just a further question, I can see that holding the jobs up a bit. I know it does away with a couple of blokes controlling the traffic, which is very handy when you're there and you can ask them, is there traffic coming through on a smaller job like Campbell's River? But the other thing, it holds your gravel trucks up. If there's a red light, well, they've naturally got to stop until the traffic comes through from another distance. So you certainly lose productivity with them. That might make up for having, we've got two well-trained blokes there, and there's been 3 jobs going at the one stage in Campbell's River, and that doesn't happen too often, and that would be too long to have lights at each one, whereas there might be certain instances where a better system is having the controllers there. But I have no objections to this, particularly if the lights are a bit more modern than the other ones and they don't have to be set and changed by the people there. But you may not always use them if there was a better way, I think.
Yes, so through the chair, that is certainly quite correct, and really depending on the activities and or I suppose resourcing that's required on any one time, is not necessarily always a need to be running, well, with regard to traffic lights. I mean, certainly will help, but it will certainly cut down the costs. I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. With regard to the traffic control. it can in itself with the pilot vehicle actually be beneficial. Obviously, instead of having two people, having the one person in a pilot vehicle arrangement through a particular activity or a job site. So it really depends on the toolbox that's happening on the day on the job site, really then to the outcome of whether physical traffic control or traffic lights should be implemented on whatever activity is probably where I was coming from. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I think the flexibility have to be, be needed, because these traffic controllers, even our own blokes that were there, they're brilliant. They'll tell you when the car's coming and when they'll hold up at vehicles when you're turning around a grade or something on an narrow road. It's certainly flowing well there, but there's two or three separate operations going. So, yeah, depending on the nature of the road. Yeah.
Councillor Capel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just on the comments that were given to us, I'm not entirely convinced that I support this idea. There are a few unanswered questions that somebody might be able to help me with. 48 or 40, whatever, 42.5 nearly grand, to my way, I think is a lot of money. And you mentioned that hiring is difficult at the moment because there's so many of them in use around the place. I'm sure if we wanted to hire either long-term or as needs, we'd be able to come to an arrangement with some sort of a supplier to do that for us. I don't know what the cost of that would be. Somebody else might be able to fill me in on that. I've got no idea how much we're looking at as far as maintenance on these things go. There's a lot of batteries and bits and pieces, I gather, just by reading the comments. Yeah, so an idea of the maintenance and the life of the plant would be handy. Also, I didn't realise that we already own some sets of lights. How many sets of lights do we own? And while they might be used frequently just at the moment, year in, year out, how much use do they get?
It does say in the body of the report that we own two.
Yes, oh,
Yeah.
two, yeah, sorry.
So through the chair, the current sets that we own are of a vintage that are getting on, certainly up to 10 years old. It was anticipated to, as part of the plant replacement program, replace a set next financial year, but given the current circumstances of the workload, bringing it forward to get it out of this year's budget is the primary reason. Yes, they are of a vintage, again, hard to retrofit to obviously today's standard is another reason. The maintenance regime on these things is not heavily involved in terms of a lot of cost to keep them in a condition. Yes, they do need checking over at least once or twice annually, and they are of a solar capacity. So the batteries and the like are certainly the main componentry that need checking. So whilst we do have a lot of work on, we also use them on maintenance projects from time to time. And I see it as an advantage, not probably even selling the ones we do have in the yard as the older aged vintage type ones, is probably to run them to a point where parts or they know are no longer worth the arrangement or fixing. I would say or suggest. So that is probably why one of the main reasons why we're trying to bring this forward to assist and also reducing the need for physical traffic control predominantly on this Campbell River Road job, which is then going to also overlap into other jobs at this stage. That helps.
Fair enough.
Councillor Lyons just come to the meeting. Any other comments on this one, councillors?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Just make a comment. These particular lights are, they have the ability to work at a greater distance because part of the deal is a repeater station in between them. They also have the ability to be able to be operated by the escort vehicle. So if you are involved with an escorted vehicle, he can switch them on and off from the vehicle, or switch them from red to green from the vehicle, depending on his travels. So we don't have that capability in any of the systems we've got at the moment. Got the Campbell River Road project, which extends over quite a distance. We'll have the Tablelands Way, which extends over quite a distance. And hopefully we'll have Arkstone, which extends over quite a distance. The other problem we face at the moment is we can't hire lights. We've tried. Every council's screaming up for them like we are. And they're fully booked everywhere. We did manage to get a set, but it's not. And luckily it's a set we can use to operate the light from the vehicle, but it's not over a long distance. It doesn't have that capability.
Okay, I'm happy.
Councillor Lyon, we're on item 501 on page 13. Any other comments on this one, councillors?
Yes, Madam Mayor,
Councillor McCarthy.
the code is a unit, like on page 6 in the report, only.
Yep.
It doesn't have to have 2 single vehicles. Okay, that's good.
Councillors, I'm going to put that recommendation on in favour. Item 502, page 23, new concrete footpath construction program 2020-21. The recommendation is that report item 502 be received as information outlining proposed concrete footpath construction to be completed by June 2021. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor McKechnie in a second, and Councillor Capel. Councillor McKechnie, would you like to speak to this one?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm very pleased to see this report in there. As we probably know, I've been on about this since even before the last work committee meeting in November. I appreciate the input from Chris and him coming to speak to me about it. So I'm pleased to see it there. I'm sure these streets that are listed in this table, they're the streets that people have been approaching me, specifically Scotia Avenue, but also the connection between the footpath in Fleming Street across to Cunningham Street to access the new fitness centre and also the sporting precinct over there, the pool, tennis courts, recreation ground. It's just a link that's missing, and the other ones in Cunningham Street are the link from the new North Street footpaths down to that same area, and also from that area to the high school and onto Ross Street. So I think it's a good report, and it's a good matrix of the issues that have been raised by residents in town and some of the teachers at the schools. So, yeah, very pleased to see it there, and more than happy to propose it.
Thank you. Councillor Capel.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Like Councillor McKechnie, I'm very pleased to see these and these particular ones coming up for some footpaths. And before I was on the council, when the council had the consultants coming in, I've forgotten what the name of it was.
Footpaths to fitness, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the things that they highlighted, the lack of footpaths in Oberon, and I know the council has gone a significant way to doing something about that. We've got a lot more footpaths now than we did have, and this will only add to it. And particularly pleased to see, as Councillor McKechnie said, from the fitness centre, footpaths leading the fitness centre, it is getting a huge amount of use. And if people can walk there, make it easier for people to walk along there. It is a bit difficult walking on the grass sometimes, and the slope is not always ideal. I commend the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments on this one, Councillor? Councillor McCarthy.
Yeah, just the last one, Tarranar Road. Just concerned about the trees that are down there. At the moment, up along behind Dr. Perkins Close, still in Tarranar Road, we're busting the footpath there with the tree roots. you think in some of these cases where there's been no path there, that some of the trees might be worth removing and replacing them as we do the concrete path through there. So we don't bust the paths.
Through the chair, look, certainly that'd be a decision for council. I can't really comment in terms of the removal, but what I can say that they are, in my view, of a mature state now, that I think that putting a footpath in, irrespective, would be doable, and I think shouldn't impact those trees by really a great means anyway, in terms of the built up or the availability of space contained within the footpath area. So again, look, it's really a decision of council if they see that the tree should be removed, but I think that they are in a reasonably healthy state and mature state that, you know, shouldn't really have an impact either way in terms of rejecting on a new footpath extension.
Okay, and the other one is we've done some work up in Springfield Street. As you go off North Street, what's the stump being left there for? Is that a memorial or whatever? There's a stump about that high. Sure as goodness, we should have took it out when we're digging the footpath out, shouldn't we?
Through
Thought so.
the mill, I'll take that on notice. I can't say that I have really seen it. I did go up and inspect the job when it was done, but I didn't take really, I didn't really see that, didn't stick out to me, so I'll take that on notice.
Okay, thank you.
No comments, councillors? The recommendation, all in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 24, councillors, item 0503, fixing country bridges grant 2020-21. The recommendation is that the report item is received as information. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Gibbons, thank you. And a seconder, please, councillors. Councillor McCarthy, thank you. Councillor Gibbons, do you wish to speak to this motion?
And I'm quite happy that we've been able to replace these bridges. And the bridge washed away. Is there any chance that the decking on the Swallows Nest Bridge may be up for sale, or we talked about bringing it back into storage, but then just something that we might be able to look at later on. Something.
Yeah.
So the floods have done some damage around the places. Other than that, good report.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor McCarthy.
Pretty straightforward. Just where do we get the $50,000 per bridge from? What source of fund?
Yeah, through the chair, it's a source of funding will come from roast recovery. Roast
Okay.
recovery can be utilised in this case. Yeah.
Thank you.
No comments, councillors? The recommendation, all in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 26, councillors, item 0504, Capital Works Program, Progress Update 2020-21. The recommendation is that the report item be received as information. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Capel, Councillor Gibbons, thank you. Councillor Capel, do you respect this one?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Yeah, straightforward report. Yeah, I don't have any comments or questions to make, but yeah, informative and straightforward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gibbons.
No, it's a massive workload for the year, the summer, and we're ploughing through it, and hopefully the stage fine to get some more done. But a lot of this has been completed, and there's a lot more to go. So big program.
Thank you. Any other comments, Councillor McCarthy?
Yeah, we spoke with Chris today, but can we find funds and a gravel source to resheet the whole of Mozart Road from Shithersall Road through to the other bitumen to bitumen? Like as you've seen this afternoon, the road's in pretty bad state all the way through.
Yeah, set that on notice. Yeah, at this stage, but there are probably some funding or funding opportunities through roast recovery where that possibly could be considered by council.
Any other comments, councillors? Councillor Capel.
I was just going to comment that since we have been declared a disaster area, there might be some funding coming up for things like that with a little bit of luck.
And I think that's why the director will take it on notice.
Yeah.
Any other comments, councillors? Councillor
Just
Gibbons.
like to comment on that road too. It has the same problems all the time, and needs widening and drainage because it's lost a lot of gravel in these rain events just recently, because along the other day, and That's a real good link road from the one bitumen road to the other through there, and yeah, if we can have something there, I'd be supporting that.
A lot of traffic on that.
A lot of traffic and, you know, a road that's never had an upgrade in my time anyhow, and we put gravel on it and it washes away, and yeah, so I'm fully supportive of that.
Just through the chair, that council has recently been declared a natural disaster area under the event that occurred for the rain. The engineers are busily out there looking at where all the damage is, and we'll need to put together a program around through the portal if we meet that magic number in which we need to meet in order to get that assessed. So it'll be a matter for Chris to bring back a report at that point in time.
Thank you.
I think Kerry also summed it up. The road needs widening as well for the amount of traffic that's increased on it.
The chair will take that on notice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, councillor? Okay, councillors, I'll put the recommendation. All in favour? Carried, thank you. Okay, councillors, I'm going to bring forward item 7, general business. We have one closed and confidential report, at which point in time the general public will leave the meeting, which means we don't do general business before that. The general public are not privy to what we're talking about. So I'm going to bring forward item 7, general business. I sent an email around asking for general business to be notified to the general manager to enable a report or for information to be available. We didn't get any inquiries. Is there anything from the floor? Councillor Gibbons.
Just a couple of things. In the mess room out there at lunchtime, and we hiring that is, would there be an opportunity to think that we should look at purchasing one? We've got a lot of roadworks coming up and very tidy. Got nice toilets there. We can heat up some meals there, and it's real tidy. I'm not too sure what it is a day. Might be $100 a day or something, but it may be worth considering having our own with the amount of, you have to have a site on your jobs these days. So that's one thing thought. With regards to the Campbell's River crossing that Andrew McKibben just mentioned earlier, I don't think it's been a big cost to do what we're doing there over the bridge. We've certainly improved the approaches, and there's no saying we're going to get the grants, I suppose. I haven't heard that we have, and to have left that 300 metres on either side of that bridge, we already had it chewed up with the amount of vehicles having to turn around and machinery that it was a real rough section of road as it was. So, you know, put a few loads of gravel on it and tied it up and fixed the surface elevation up on the bridge. So it'd have been a real weak link if we hadn't have done anything there. So
I think it was always planned to do that. Always planned to do.
I felt there was. I thought there's always.
It was always in the
upgrade it.
scope. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we get the grant, well, that's different. But if we can't, it's going to be a better road across the bridge for it. Numbers, that's the only thing. Numbers are a bit shorter. Can we look at, I don't know, contract gardening to help out with numbers? Or I just think the amount of roadworks we've got on, I feel they're a bit stretched. Am I right or wrong or not?
Through the chair, we're looking at those issues constantly.
Yeah, yeah, very busy time. Other than that, no, that's.
Thank you, Councillor Gibbons. Any other?
I don't know whether this fits in the works or not, but we need to secure the Norway bushfire shed. Some way, whether you're going to secure it through the works thing or general council meeting, but yeah, we don't want to go down the path to spend another 300,000 in acquiring land and all the rest. This shed's there, it's suitable, been updated, so we need to throw some resources and try and work out with the forestry. If you're telling us that block of land has no building permit on Yeah, we should be approaching the forestry with that and find out where they got the evaluation from, and yeah, we should be making an approach at it so we can secure that site.
So through the chair, I'm in consultation with Forest as we speak
About that.
about the Norway bushfire.
Thank you.
Councillors, any other?
The other one was the block pipes on Carwood Road. We'll took it up with Chris, but I'll speak to the works manager. How can we stop this granite getting into these brand new pipes? Isn't it better that we have a cement plinth around it, or a bit of environmental overlays like that one down there near the Carwood, what do you call it? Can't think of the creek, Sydney Valley Creek. It would only lasted the first storm. We got to do it better. And there was $50,000 left over on the job, so it's not as if we're short of money to do it. Surely, goodness, we can't we put the pipes in and raise it up so the water enters and the silt stays out?
Yeah, through the chair, certainly, as I indicated today to councillors on that tour, that it certainly needs some work on the table drains, and in doing that, yeah, look, if there's money permitting after the widening of that culvert, which we've committed to do, then certainly further materials need to be recompacted in those table drains and fully sealed, at least to act as a carrier, I think, of stormwater for the short term anyway, until further funding, or if further funding is actually indeed required. But that may be enough just to fix that problem, I think.
Yeah, I understand that, but we put the culvert in, now we've got the rework and clean it out. Someone's gonna have to clean that out, whether you hire a water truck to blast it out, or someone gets there with a long shovel or whatever, I don't know, but it's rework. That's, you know, and to me, if someone had put that mesh around there 3 or 4 hours and pegged it down, we might be in this position, that's all.
Through the chair, your point's taken, we'll take that on notice and certainly get it fixed.
Thank you.
Councillor Gibbons.
Mr. Chair, just commenting on those types of things. You'll always get more wash when the job's raw and only just been done. It takes 12 or 18 months to settle down, but I'm in favour of armouring the drains, either with rocks and then tar or something, but tar right into it right from the start, and you've got some chance.
Thank you, councillor.
Yes, and there's different ways to do it.
If there's no more general business, councillors, and we're going to page 30, item 6, closed session and confidential reports. In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government General Regulation 2005, in the opinion of the General Manager, the following business is of a kind as referred to in section 10A bracket 2 of the Act, and should be dealt with in a part of the meeting closed to the media and the public. I'd like to thank the members of the public for joining us this evening on Zoom and say good night. I now call for a councillor to move council into closed session, please. Councillor Cable and a seconder, please. Councillor McPickney. All in favour, councillors? Thank you. 5:45. Following resolutions were made in closed session. There were no members of the public present at this time. Item 601, that council refund assessment 123,95979, an amount of $2,883.21, and deduct 4,179 kilolitres from their 2020-21 water allocation. The next Works Committee meeting of Oberon Council will be held on a date to be advised. I'll now close the meeting at 5:46. Thank you, councillors.